Good evening and welcome to the August 19th Gorham Town Council special meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Phillips.
Present.
Councilor Sims.
Present.
Councilor Willis.
Present.
Councilor Cooch.
Present.
Councilor Gagnon.
Present.
Councilor LaVoy.
Present.
Councilor Segal.
Present.
Item 2025-8-19, action to authorize the town manager to execute a purchase and a sales agreement with Amazon.com Services LLC for the sale of town-owned land on Main Street, tax map lot 30, lot 1, and to authorize the sale of said town-owned land. Administrative sponsor. Proposed Order 2596. Order that the town manager is authorized to execute a purchase and sale agreement with Amazon.com Services, LLC, for the sale of 93.9 acres of town-owned land, tax map 30, lot 1, for the sum of $4 million, consistent with the terms of a letter of intent dated June 18, 2025. And be it further ordered that the town manager is authorized to execute any and all documents necessary in connection with the sale of the property on behalf of the town of Gorham, consistent with the letter of intent dated June 18, 2025, and the purchase and sale agreement executed under the authority of this order.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second. All right, so we are going to proceed with the same process that we have for the last 5 or 6 land sale, purchase and sale items that we've done. So we're going to go on to Director Poirier is going to explain the item, and then we'll go to council deliberations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So similar to the other deliberations, so all the council is doing tonight is entering in a contract with Amazon to allow them to move forward with permitting. In your packets, you saw the letter of intent as well as the purchase and sale agreement that has been negotiated between the town attorney and then the proposed developer's attorney. Really just outlines timeline and then things for the sale should the permitting go forward. And that's all you're moving forward with this evening. So it's just the ability to sell it should all the permitting be completed.
Thank you. Council?
Could we ask some questions first?
Yep.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Madam Chair. So just a few process questions. So we're voting tonight to give the town to move forward with signing this contract. After this decision's made, say we do approve this, and say the town manager signs this purchase and sale agreement, please explain the additional steps in the permitting process where the public will have an opportunity to provide public comment? And will there be any additional decision points for this town council? Or will it all essentially be, if they own the land and they're following the development code, they will be permitted to proceed?
So this will be reviewed under the town site plan review process. So it's a public meeting process through the planning board. Before the applicant does that, they have to hire engineers, do a whole design process, and then submit that for the town's approval. In addition to that, we do a public hearing. In addition to that, they will need DEP approval, which has its own public hearing process, as well as we assume there will be a traffic movement permit through the DOT. That will be a public process. So those are the local and then the 2 state approvals that we know of. They may need federal permits for the Army Corps of Engineers. There may be a permit, there may be a public input process as part of that. So that's through the federal government. So there are a number of steps here where public input will be given. Now, regarding the council, now they won't own it until they complete the permitting process, we assume. So that's typically what happens with these projects, kind of like CoreX. They got all their permit approvals. They decided not to move forward and buy it. So just because we have a contract doesn't mean that they are in the end going to buy it. So they've got to go through all the permitting processes and then they make a decision of whether to buy it. Now, there's always the ability, I think, for the council to, I guess, exit the contract. Is there penalties for the town if they do that? Yeah, I think we would have to reimburse the developer some funds for permitting at that point.
Can we have a ballpark estimate of what those costs might entail?
Oh, well, the permitting costs, I have no idea. It's going to be probably,
Thousands?
oh, yeah.
Tens of thousands?
I would say hundreds of thousands. My guess is you're probably, with all the permitting and stuff and the design, they're probably hundreds of thousands in permitting costs.
Okay.
The number identified in the contract, I believe, is 135,000 that we would,
Okay.
whether we owe the developer, should we decide to cancel the contract
Right, after tonight.
after tonight.
Yep. So after tonight, if we agree to this, we've essentially relinquished control to Amazon. Other than if we want to stop it, we could pay the $135,000.
Correct.
So that'd be one option available.
Yep.
Thank you for clarifying.
Any other questions? Comments?
I have some additional questions.
Go ahead.
So I've heard one, purported benefit of Amazon coming to a community is that they will repair the roads in the town that they'll be using. And I'm skeptical of this claim myself because obviously it wouldn't benefit Amazon shareholders for Amazon to spend money on local municipalities' road networks. Is there anything in this purchase and sale agreement that indicates that Amazon will make investments in improving Gorham's road infrastructure?
You mean in the contract?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't see it, and I don't think we've had any contract like that.
Okay.
What I would say, though, as part of the permitting process, level of service, road infrastructure, all that is evaluated. So Public Works gives input as part of that process, the town engineer. So if there are roads that need to be repaired due to increased traffic associated with them, that gets reviewed as part of the planning board process. So that gets taken care of as part of that.
And the planning board would make decisions on how much investment Amazon should be required to make?
Well, typically it's identified as this road needs to be overlaid, and then a fee associated from the Public Works Department.
Okay.
And then that typically gets conditioned on the approval.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. Yep.
2 points that one is kind of a question, I guess. Some of the feedback, and I thank people for emailing, those people that are on social media, some of us are not, so an email is a way for us to know what your thoughts are. But one of the things that I've heard about is the cost of the land, and the point that I want to make is the town is not in the process, we're not supposed to be landholders and land sellers, but the question regarding the cost of the land, to me, I guess my question is, it's not 100 acres of available buildable land. And if the community director could just say maybe how much of this property would be developed?
I don't know how much the proposed tenant is going to develop it. What I can say, are there natural resources associated with this parcel? Yes, there are wetlands, there are fingers wetlands that give it some challenge to be developed. There is a vernal pool on the one end, on the far end by the Crosstown Trail. So there are resources or natural resources that make certain parts hard to develop. So it's not pristine land, all of it. So there are some impacts associated with it. And the other part I will say is the town went through a process, hired a professional realtor to help us evaluate the value of the parcel. This has been on the market for a number of years. We had a number of tenants come in and then back out of the sale. So I think that the sale of the market, according to our professionals that we hired, seems to be on point with real estate in the area.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, one more point to Tom on this. Isn't there a water main that runs through this property too, that if severed could never be stopped?
Yeah.
And that makes it a little more prohibitive?
There's a 100-foot easement for it's either the 44 or 46 water main for the Portland Water District that runs through the parcel. That has some limitations on what can be developed over it. So there are some impacts associated with that.
Yeah. So there are inhibitances on this parcel.
Correct.
I have a comment relevant to the land price, and I think folks are right to question whether we're getting a good deal here, because it is 100 acres. 4 million doesn't seem like a lot when you think about how much our own property values have gone up. And I think it's important to recognize that one of the reasons it's not worth more is because we've zoned it industrial. And when we zone it industrial, we've outlawed the ability to build housing on it, which is the most in-demand land use generally in the market. So by disallowing housing, we instantly, dramatically devalued this property. And that was a choice that was made. I think about it. In 2019, when this was approved, 1,378 Gorham residents voted in favor of purchasing the industrial park. Now, at the time, I don't think that there was much of a vision presented that Amazon was going to be the eventual purchaser of the land. And I think that it would be of value to allow the public to provide more input on the proposed buyer here. There's some irony because oftentimes when developments come through town, we're accused of allowing them to go through. If the landowners own the land and they're following what's in the development code, they are allowed to proceed. We have no stopping them here on the town council. In this particular case, we do actually have a choice. And perhaps the right choice is to say yes. Perhaps the right choice is to say no. I would prefer to have a more extensive cost-benefit analysis done, because we don't have a significant cost-benefit analysis that actually has any numbers associated with it. Just in my own speculation here, the nearest Amazon facility in Worcester, it's about 121,000 square feet, and it's valued at $16 million. If you take that $16 million and you add the $4 million of the sale price here, that's $20 million. If you multiply that by our mill rate, $14.70, that's $294,000 annually. So that is the benefit, $294,000 in additional property tax revenue for 100 acres of land with frontage on Main Street. That could be a great spot for a local business to grow. So I am skeptical as to whether this is the right path forward, and I think it would be prudent to take a little more time to think about it and get more input from the public.
Councilor Gagnon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think in executive session, we've beat this horse to death, and we can't really go over our executive sessions in public. But what I will say is every one of these lots was sold, Madam Chair, until Stacy Brenner, our state senator, and Ellie Sato, our representative, and one other representative decided to oppose the Turnpike Spur with Councillor Lou Sims, who went up to the legislature and tried to kill it. It was voted to remain, but the outcome of that was every one of our purchase and sales fell through. Every one. We had them all sold, every one. Now we have somebody coming in that wants to buy one of the largest tracts, and the one councillor that caused us to lose all of the sales of all those properties, Madam Chair, is now advocating not to sell this one. I welcome Amazon here and say, your business, our zoning allows you to be here, you're welcome, we're business friendly, thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Willis.
I'm happy to go. First off, I want to echo Councilor Kush's thank you to everybody who's reached out. We've heard from dozens and dozens of people, phone calls, emails. A lot of them start with, I apologize for reaching out. Please don't apologize. We want to hear from you. It's important that we hear from you, regardless of your perspective, and I apologize for not having a chance to respond to all of them. I tried throughout the day, and then all of a sudden it was time to be here and kind of ran out of time, so I know many others did as well. A year ago, I ran for council on really two things, I think, pro-business campaign and transparency. So I want to hit on a couple of the process points that kind of got us here. Timing is something we've heard a lot about, and the fact that this announcement was made yesterday and now we sit here today, and why wasn't there more time involved. We've been criticized as a council, past councils, and as a staff, as a town, of not being business friendly, and time kills deals in business. And so what we really tried to do with this is move things along quickly with any business. It doesn't matter if it's the business that's in front of us today or a small business trying to get started. We're trying to be more pro-business as a town, and I greatly appreciate staff and our sitting council for making real strides in that way. In my experience in the last year, we've spent a lot of time growing businesses that are within our community, helping retain those, and also trying to attract new businesses that want to be here. So that's how we got here. Trying to be careful of executive session, but in the process, we wanted to promote moving this along as quickly as we can, while also trying to involve the public in the time that it's necessary to do so and important to do so. In terms of the lot, it's an industrial zone lot. If you haven't, read the potential uses that could go on that piece of land. There's all kinds that are going to impact people in very different ways. I think this is a pretty good plan for some of the alternatives that could be on that piece, and so I'll be supporting moving forward with the purchase and sale. And thank you, Director Poirier, for talking about the land value and a couple of others. This is not a residentially zoned piece that's going to sell for $145,000 or $150,000 an acre. Even if it was, it's not going to sell to a developer for $150,000 an acre. There's a lot of wetlands in there. There's a lot of issues. There's infrastructure that's going to be needed. When a developer comes along and looks at that piece, they don't pay what they're going to sell that lot for at retail price when they're buying it to then develop it. So we've spent a lot of time on this in the past as a council. This is not something that we just showed up here this evening to do, and I'll be supporting moving forward.
Thank you. Councilor Lavoie.
Thank you. I will echo what Councilor Willis said. Took a lot of my points that I wanted to say, but that you spoke eloquently about it. I also want to recognize there's two councilors in the audience right now that were in the throes of this decision in 2019, and there was a question. It was, how do we reduce the tax burden on the residents? Well, one, we increase our industrial growth, right? So the town purchased the land, and here we are today, 5 years later, with a tenant that wants to purchase it. I'm in full support of this. I feel like it would be a shame if we don't take this offer. We've hashed it out in executive session. We've asked all the questions. So I will be supporting this tonight.
Councilor Siegel, any comments before I go, or are you?
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks. Coming up on 3 years on the council, and I think this has been the single hardest decision I've had to make, honestly. The back and forth, it truthfully, and everyone I've spoken to, to echo other comments, thank you for reaching out. Thank you to those who texted, called, Facebook messaged, emailed, just kind of approached me, it's appreciated. Oh my God, I am not a fan of Amazon. I'm not. And also, this lot's zoned industrial. Like, this was already permitted for a 100,000 square foot warehouse. And everyone was all like, no one had any issue with it. And suddenly now, of course, with the name being attached, it's much more of a heated topic. And we constantly talk about bringing new businesses into Gorham, and this God, I mean, it feels like a devil's bargain here, you know? You can get a large business that's going to bring in, honestly, quite a bit of property tax revenue, but it's Amazon. And that's been rough. But at the same time, this is what that's there for. This is the whole point of this, the culmination of this whole work about the industrial park. I don't think in the long term, continuing to rely on industrial businesses is going to be our way out of any kind of tax issues. But they still nonetheless help, right? Every business in that lot helps. And if you are confused about which way I'm voting tonight, that's, as you can tell, I'm honestly very conflicted in everything on both sides of it. There are legitimate points for both sides. And I will say, as was mentioned with the permitting process, if the vote is yes tonight, this is not the end of a conversation. This is the start of a conversation. Please continue to make your voice heard at the planning board, at all of the other areas for public input. Public input does matter, and it does create change. I will also say a comment that I've seen consistently, and I do want to very clearly address, nothing in this contract says they get a tax break of any kind, and I would never in a million years give them a tax break. They will pay for every single penny they owe this town. I'll say that publicly. I'll say that all day, all night. I just do not see a world where we give them any bit of tax break. So I think those are all my points. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, could I just make a couple of responses to a couple of points that were made?
Sure, as long as we're not going to go back and forth.
Sure, absolutely. Certainly want to keep it respectful as well.
Thank you.
Totally understand. Everybody's here doing the absolute best they think they can for the town of Gorham, and I respect that 100%. So, you know, the zoning, totally arbitrary. We chose to make it industrial. We could change it if we wanted to. We could add more higher value uses if we wanted to. When we're trying to use, we have limited assets here. So we have to try to use them to get us the best value possible. I would love to see us supporting more small business growth. Small businesses growing create more quality jobs than this Amazon facility is going to create. I can point to other examples in town. There is development happening. You got Maine Metal building a new building right down the street from this parcel. You got Harvey Performance that built an incredible facility over by the bypass. So to say that there's no business growth because, you know, of what's happening or not happening with the connector, I think is speculative. And I'd like to see evidence of claims that are made about businesses walking out solely because of that. And I would also point to the fact that Amazon is choosing to make this purchase knowing full well that the current public position of the Maine Turnpike Authority is that they are not moving forward with the turnpike. So I think that's something to consider. And actually, if you look at the proposed route of the turnpike expansion and look at where the proposed interchanges are, the closest one is Smiling Hill Farm. There's not a direct line to get from Smiling Hill Farm to this parcel without having to go down Brackett Street and Saco Street. They're not going to go down Brackett Street to Day Road to get over to South Street to get to the roundabout. They're going to go right through 25 through the village. And most likely, they'd probably use the existing exit in Westbrook. So I think those are things to think about. And, you know, again, I am business friendly. I am people friendly as well. I think one of the big problems, we've taken this approach of we can't take more growth because the growth is what's raising our taxes. I think that's a questionable assumption. And I can point to some numbers. We think that the school budget is going up because more people are moving to town. The school population, the school enrollment is essentially unchanged over the last 20 years. Despite the housing growth that we have allowed, it hasn't created a meaningful impact in the number of students in the school system. So the concept that that's what's driving up our property taxes is it's not accurate, and we need to look further. And I agree with Councilor Siegel, trying to rely on industrial development where the companies have every incentive to minimize their building costs and minimize their property tax obligations moving forward, particularly the larger the corporate entity, particularly if they're owned by out-of-state shareholders that have no interest in the community's benefit. So those are some of my concerns. And again, like I said, I'd like to do more benefit. I'd like to do more cost-benefit analysis. I'd like to look at it further. So I can't support the vision that's being brought forward tonight, but obviously I want to keep working in as constructive a way as possible to make whatever happens as beneficial as possible for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think that I might be the only counselor that was here when we did the purchase of the industrial park in 2019. At that time, it was pre-pandemic. We were told by multiple people for economic development reasons that, there were not a lot of industrial lots in southern Maine, that it was a wanted commodity. And then the pandemic hit, so that was kind of changed things. I think that we've been trying to sell this for years, and like councilors and town staff have said, there were multiple people that took interest in multiple purchase and sales that ended up dropping off on several of these lots that are still in the industrial park. This is the first, well, not even the first, it's probably the sixth, I think we said, offer that we've had. This is what we've done in the past. We go forward. They go through the permitting, there's public comment, and I completely understand the several concerns. I have the same concerns. Those things are vetted out in the permitting process, and if our requirements are too strict for Amazon, they may not go through with the project. So we can see what happens there. I really want Amazon to have a really good relationship with the community. I hope that they do what they say they're going to do in other communities. I hope that happens here. I'm willing to look to move this forward under the fact that we are going to get lots of public input and address all the concerns through the whole application process. I think we can make them understand what a great community we are, and they'll want to work with us. Any other comments? All right. All those in favor? All those opposed? Councilor Siegel and Councilor Sims. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, second by Councilor Lavoy. All those in favor of adjourning? Thank you.